Honorable guests, fellow citizens, and beloved friends, today I stand before you to speak about something more than just borders and governments. I speak about the heart of our nation, the people, the values, and the spirit that keep us strong. A nation is not just defined by its economy, military, or landmarks. It is shaped by the heartbeat of its citizens, their dreams, struggles, and unwavering hope. When we look around, we see that the strength of a nation is not in its wealth, but in the unity of its people. It is in the hands of the workers, the minds of the students, the courage of the soldiers, and the wisdom of our elders. But what keeps a nation's heart beating? It is love for one another. It is respect for diversity. It is the pursuit of justice and fairness for all. It is the belief that no matter our differences, we are one people bound together by a common destiny. In times of challenge, the heart of a nation is tested. Will we stand divided or will we stand together? Will we let fear dictate our actions or will we choose courage? The true heart of a nation does not falter in moments of adversity. Instead, it rises, beats stronger, and leads with compassion. We must nurture this heart. We must strengthen our values, protect our freedoms, and ensure that every citizen, regardless of background, has the opportunity to succeed. The heart of our nation is not just in its past, but in its future, in the young dreamers who look to us for guidance and inspiration. So let us remember, a nation's true power is not in its might, but in its heart. A heart that beats for justice, for unity, and for a better tomorrow. A nation is more than its borders, more than its buildings, and more than its political systems. The true essence of a country, the very heartbeat that sustains it, lies in its people. It is the farmers who wait before the sun rises to cultivate the land, ensuring that families across the nation have food on their tables. It is the teachers who dedicate their lives to molding young minds, passing down knowledge that will shape the future. It is the healthcare workers who stand at the front lines, saving lives and bringing hope to the sick. Every person, from the laborer working tirelessly to build our infrastructure to the entrepreneur creating new opportunities, plays a vital role in strengthening the nation's foundation. The heart of a nation beats in the resilience of the single mother who sacrifices for her children, in the aspirations of the young student striving for excellence, and in the bravery of the soldier who stands guard to protect the freedoms we hold dear. But a nation is not just made up of individuals. It is a collective force bound together by shared values, traditions, and a common vision for the future. It is in the way communities come together in times of crisis, helping their neighbors and offering a hand to those in need. It is in the determination of the workers who rise each morning with the hope of providing a better life for their families. It is in the voices of the artists, musicians, and storytellers who capture the soul of a nation through their work, preserving its culture for future generations. A nation's true power does not lie in its wealth or military might alone. While these elements are important, they are merely tools. The real driving force behind any country's success is the character, determination, and unity of its people. When its people are strong, when they believe in their own potential and work together toward progress, the nation thrives. However, when a nation's people are divided, when they lose hope or feel unheard, the very foundation of that country begins to shake. That is why it is crucial to recognize and uplift every citizen, ensuring that each person, no matter their background, has the opportunity to contribute and succeed. The collective efforts of ordinary citizens create extraordinary progress. The heart of a nation is its people. Their struggles, their triumphs, their dreams, and their unwavering spirit determine the fate of the country. A nation's future is not written by its government alone, but by the millions of individuals who wake up each day and choose to make a difference. No matter how big or small, a nation's greatest strength does not come from its wealth, its military power, or even its technological advancements. It comes from the unity of its people. History has shown us time and time again that a divided society cannot stand strong. When people are divided by race, religion, political ideology, or economic status, the very foundation of a nation begins to crack. But when people stand together, when they recognize their shared destiny, despite their differences, they become an unbreakable force capable of overcoming any challenge. Unity does not mean uniformity. It does not mean that everyone must think alike, believe the same things, or abandon their individual identities. Rather, unity is about understanding that differences do not have to be sources of conflict. They can be sources of strength. A diverse nation, when united, can draw upon the varied perspectives, skills, and experiences of its people to build a stronger, more vibrant society. Look at any great achievement in history, and you will see that it was made possible not by a single person, but by the combined efforts of many. The construction of great cities, the advancements in science and medicine, the movements that have expanded freedom and justice, all of these were born out of the power of collective effort. When people work together, when they share a common goal, they can achieve what once seemed impossible. Yet unity does not come easily. It requires effort, patience, and above all, respect. It means listening to one another, even when we disagree. It means finding common ground instead of focusing on what divides us. It means rejecting hatred and prejudice in favor of compassion and understanding. A truly united nation does not allow fear, misinformation, or external influences to tear its people apart. Instead, it fosters dialogue, encourages cooperation, and builds bridges between different communities. However, there are always forces that seek to divide, whether through politics, social divisions, or economic inequality. There will always be those who benefit from keeping people apart. They thrive on fear, anger, and misinformation, convincing people that their fellow citizens are enemies rather than allies. But when we allow ourselves to be divided, we weaken not only our communities but the nation as a whole. True unity is not tested in times of peace, but in times of hardship. It is easy to stand together when things are going well, but the real test comes when challenges arise, when the economy struggles, when disasters strike, when conflicts threaten to tear us apart. It is in these moments that unity becomes the most valuable asset a nation can have. A country that stands together in difficult times can rise stronger than before. A nation that allows division to take root, however, will find itself weakened from within. Unity is an active choice, not a passive state. It requires leaders who promote inclusion rather than division. It requires communities that reach out to one another rather than turning inward. It requires every citizen to recognize that despite our differences, we share a common home, a common purpose, and a common future. A nation is not defined solely by its borders, economy, or institutions. At its core, a nation is built upon the values it upholds. These values, love, respect, justice, and fairness, serve as the moral compass that guides a country through times of prosperity and hardship alike. They define the character of the people, shape the laws, and determine the kind of society that future generations will inherit. Without strong core values, a nation loses its sense of direction. It may have wealth, power, and influence, but without integrity and ethical foundations, it will struggle to achieve true greatness. History has shown that the most enduring civilizations were those that upheld principles of justice and fairness for all their people, not just a privileged few. A society that disregards these values may experience temporary success, but it will ultimately crumble under the weight of corruption, inequality, and injustice. Among these core values, love and respect for one another stand at the forefront. A nation cannot thrive if its people view each other with hostility or indifference. When citizens respect one another regardless of race, religion, gender, or social status, they create an environment where cooperation flourishes, innovation thrives, and communities grow stronger. Love for one's fellow citizens means caring for the vulnerable, lending a hand to those in need, and treating each other with dignity. It means seeing every individual as a valuable part of the nation, worthy of the same rights and opportunities. Justice is another pillar upon which a strong nation is built. Justice does not only mean punishing wrongdoing, it means ensuring that every citizen has equal access to opportunities and protection under the law. A just nation is one where no person is above the law and no person is beneath its protection. It is a society where fairness is not just a principle on paper, but a reality in daily life. Justice ensures that no one is discriminated against, that no one is left behind, and that the voice of every citizen is heard and valued. Fairness is closely tied to justice, and it plays a crucial role in maintaining peace and stability within a nation. When people feel that they are treated fairly, that they have a fair shot at success, that they will be judged based on their character rather than their background, they are more likely to contribute positively to society. But when fairness is absent, when people feel that the system is rigged against them, frustration and resentment grow. This can lead to unrest, distrust in leadership, and the breakdown of social cohesion. However, upholding these core values is not the responsibility of the government alone. Every citizen has a role to play in ensuring that these principles remain strong. Parents instill values in their children, educators reinforce them in schools, and communities embody them through their actions. Leaders, both in politics and in everyday life, must lead by example, demonstrating honesty, compassion, and accountability. Core values are not just words, they must be put into practice every day. They are reflected in how people treat one another, how laws are enforced, how businesses operate, and how communities support their members. They are the invisible foundation upon which a nation is built, and without them, no amount of wealth, technology, or military strength can sustain a country for long. Every nation, no matter how powerful or prosperous, will face challenges. These challenges may come in many forms: economic hardships, political unrest, natural disasters, external threats, or internal divisions. What defines a nation's strength is not the absence of difficulties, but the courage with which it faces them. A country that cowers in fear or succumbs to despair when tested will falter. However, a nation that stands firm, that rises to meet adversity with resilience and determination, will emerge stronger than before. Courage is the backbone of any great nation. It is found in the leaders who make difficult decisions for the greater good, even when those choices are unpopular. It is found in the workers who refuse to give up in the face of economic hardship, in the soldiers who put their lives on the line to defend their homeland, and in the everyday citizens who stand up for what is right, even when it is difficult or dangerous. Throughout history, the greatest nations have not been those that avoided struggle, but those that confronted it head-on. Think of the countries that have rebuilt after war, the societies that have overcome oppression, and the communities that have come together after devastating disasters. In each case, it was not wealth, power, or even luck that carried them through, it was courage. The ability to stand tall in the face of adversity, to push forward when the road ahead seemed impossible, is what separates nations that thrive from those that crumble. But courage is not just about grand acts of heroism. It is also found in small, everyday actions. It is the student who dares to dream beyond the limitations imposed by society. It is the activist who speaks out against injustice, knowing the risks involved. It is the parent who works tirelessly to provide for their family, despite obstacles that seem insurmountable. It is the community that unites in times of crisis, proving that fear cannot break the bonds of solidarity. One of the greatest challenges any nation faces is fear itself. Fear divides people, weakens resolve, and creates uncertainty. It is often used as a tool by those who seek control, those who profit from keeping people afraid and uncertain. Fear can make a nation turn against itself, making people distrust their neighbors, their leaders, and even their own abilities. But courage is the antidote to fear. A nation that chooses courage over fear refuses to be manipulated. It refuses to be paralyzed by uncertainty. Instead, it chooses action, determination, and hope. Another important aspect of courage is the ability to learn from failures. No country is perfect. Mistakes will be made, wrong decisions will be taken, and hardships will occur. However, a truly courageous nation does not hide from its failures, it learns from them. It acknowledges its shortcomings, corrects its course, and moves forward with a renewed sense of purpose. A nation that fears admitting its mistakes is doomed to repeat them, but one that faces its flaws with honesty and determination will continue to grow stronger. Courage is not something that is reserved for a select few. It must be cultivated in every citizen, from the youngest child to the oldest elder. It must be taught in schools, reinforced in communities, and demonstrated by leaders at every level. A courageous nation is one where people are unafraid to chase their dreams, to stand up for what is right, and to face the future with confidence, no matter how uncertain it may be. A great nation is not measured solely by its military strength, economic wealth, or technological advancements. While these are important, they do not define the true greatness of a country. The true measure of a nation lies in the way it treats its people, especially the most vulnerable. A society that lacks compassion, that ignores the struggles of its citizens, is one that will eventually crumble from within. But a nation that embraces the power of compassion, one that values kindness, empathy, and human dignity, becomes a place where people thrive, where communities flourish, and where progress is built on a foundation of humanity. Compassion is the heartbeat of a just and stable society. It is the guiding force behind policies that ensure no one is left behind. It is the force that moves individuals to extend a helping hand to those in need, whether it be the poor, the sick, the elderly, or those who have fallen on hard times. A nation that prioritizes compassion recognizes that its strength lies not in how well the strongest members of society are doing, but in how it cares for the weakest among them. In a compassionate society, no person is discarded. It is a nation where a child born into poverty is given the same opportunity to succeed as one born into privilege. It is a nation where the elderly are not seen as burdens, but as valuable members of society who have wisdom to share. It is a nation where healthcare is not seen as a privilege for the few, but as a fundamental right for all. It is a nation where people look out for one another, where communities come together in times of crisis, and where no one is left to struggle alone. Compassion is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength. It takes great strength for a nation to choose care over indifference, kindness over cruelty, and unity over selfishness. The greatest leaders throughout history have been those who understood the power of compassion. They knew that a country cannot thrive when its people are suffering. They understood that true leadership means lifting others up, creating opportunities for those who have none, and ensuring that justice is not just a word but a reality for all. But compassion is not only the responsibility of governments and leaders. It is the responsibility of every citizen. A nation becomes compassionate when its people choose to be compassionate in their daily lives. It happens when neighbors help one another, when individuals volunteer their time to support those in need, and when communities rally around those facing hardship. A single act of kindness may seem small, But when multiplied across an entire society, it becomes a powerful force that can transform the world. Compassion must also extend beyond borders. In an increasingly interconnected world, no nation exists in isolation. The challenges faced by one country often have ripple effects that impact others. A truly great nation is one that recognizes its responsibility not only to its own citizens but also to humanity as a whole. It is a nation that provides aid in times of global crisis, that welcomes those fleeing war and persecution, and that works to create a world where peace and cooperation triumph over division and conflict. Yet, despite the immense power of compassion, there are always forces that seek to undermine it. There are those who believe that success must come at the expense of others, that the strong should dominate the weak, and that self-interest should always take precedence over the common good. These are the beliefs that divide societies, that create suffering, and that lead to instability. But history has shown that societies built on greed and cruelty do not last. It is the nations that embrace compassion, that prioritize the well-being of their people, that stand the test of time. The future of any nation is not written in its past glories or present successes, but in the dreams, education, and opportunities it provides for its young generation. A nation that does not invest in its future, its youth, its innovation, its environment, and its long-term sustainability risks stagnation and decline. True progress is not measured solely by the wealth of a country today, but by the opportunities it creates for future generations to build an even stronger, more prosperous, and just society. The most direct way a nation secures its future is through education. Education is the foundation upon which all great civilizations are built. It empowers individuals, fuels creativity, and strengthens a country's economy and democracy. A nation that prioritizes education ensures that every child, regardless of their background, race, or economic status, has access to quality learning opportunities. Schools should not just teach facts, they should nurture critical thinking, encourage innovation, and instill a sense of responsibility and civic duty in students. A well-educated population is not just beneficial for individuals, but for the entire nation, as it leads to a more skilled workforce, better governance, and a more informed citizenry capable of making wise decisions for the future. But investing in the future goes beyond just schools and universities. It means creating pathways for young people to contribute to society in meaningful ways. It means investing in science and technology to keep up with the changing world, providing young entrepreneurs with resources to turn their ideas into reality, and supporting programs that encourage leadership and social responsibility. A nation that fails to give its youth a voice, that stifles their ambitions, or that ignores their potential, is a nation that is cutting itself off from progress. Economic opportunities also play a key role in securing a nation's future. If young people graduate from school only to find that there are no jobs, no career paths, and no way to build a stable life, they will either lose hope or seek opportunities elsewhere. Brain drain, where the most talented minds leave a country due to lack of opportunities, weakens a nation's future. To prevent this, governments must foster an economic environment where industries grow, small businesses thrive, and innovation is rewarded. Investment in infrastructure, technology, and industries of the future ensures that young people can find meaningful work and contribute to the country's development. Another critical aspect of investing in the future is protecting the environment. The world is facing climate challenges that threaten not only individual nations but humanity as a whole. Rising sea levels, extreme weather, pollution, and resource depletion are not problems of tomorrow, they are problems of today. A nation that truly cares about its future will take bold action to protect its natural resources, invest in sustainable energy, and create policies that balance economic growth with environmental responsibility. Ignoring these issues for short term gain will only result in long term suffering for future generations. Furthermore, healthcare is an investment in the future. A country cannot thrive if its people are not healthy. Ensuring access to quality healthcare for all citizens, from infants to the elderly, is not just a moral responsibility, it is an economic and social necessity. A healthy population is a productive one. Nations that neglect healthcare end up spending more in the long run due to preventable diseases, decreased productivity, and increased social inequality. Preventative care, mental health support, and access to life-saving treatments should be priorities in any society that hopes to build a strong future. A nation that truly invests in its future also understands the importance of social unity and inclusivity. No country can succeed if segments of its population feel excluded or left behind. Building a future where everyone has a stake, where different communities, cultures, and backgrounds are respected and given equal opportunities ensures lasting stability and progress. Discrimination, inequality, and social division weaken a country from within and create long-term challenges that are difficult to repair. The choices made today will determine what kind of country future generations inherit. If a nation prioritizes education, innovation, economic stability, environmental protection, and social unity, it will pave the way for continued success. If it neglects these responsibilities, it will find itself struggling to keep up with the rapidly changing world. A nation is not just a collection of people living within borders, it is an ongoing story, passed down from one generation to the next. The choices made today will echo far beyond our own time, shaping the lives of those who come after us. What kind of legacy will we leave behind? Will it be one of progress, unity, and justice? Or will it be one of division, stagnation, and regret? The answers to these questions depend on the decisions we make now and the vision we hold for the future. A true legacy is not measured in wealth or power, but in the lasting impact on future generations. A nation that prioritizes short-term gains over long-term stability is like a house built on weak foundations. It may stand for a time, but it will eventually crumble. To ensure a meaningful legacy, leaders must think beyond election cycles, businesses must think beyond quarterly profits, and citizens must think beyond their individual needs. The future belongs not just to us but to those who will inherit what we leave behind. One of the most significant aspects of a national legacy is the preservation of values. Societies rise and fall not just because of external threats or economic conditions, but because of the strength or weakness of their moral foundations. If a country upholds justice, fairness, and human dignity, it creates a society where people feel secure and hopeful. But if corruption, greed, and injustice take root, the nation will decay from within. Future generations will either benefit from the ethical choices we make today or suffer from the consequences of our failures. A strong legacy also requires investing in knowledge and culture. A nation that values education, history, and the arts leaves behind a rich intellectual and cultural heritage. Schools and universities must be strengthened, libraries must be preserved, and artistic expression must be encouraged. The stories we tell, the lessons we teach, and the knowledge we pass down are the blueprints for the future. If we neglect them, we risk leaving behind a society that has lost its sense of identity, purpose, and direction. Another key component of a lasting legacy is environmental stewardship. The earth is not ours to exploit recklessly, it is a home we share with future generations. If we deplete natural resources, pollute the air and water, and destroy ecosystems for temporary gain, we are stealing from our children and grandchildren. A nation that truly cares about its legacy will take decisive action to protect the environment, invest in renewable energy, and ensure that future generations inherit a world that is not just livable but thriving. Economic sustainability is also crucial to the legacy we leave behind. A nation that racks up debt without a plan for repayment, that allows wealth to concentrate in the hands of a few while others struggle to survive, or that fails to build industries of the future, is setting up its descendants for hardship. True economic strength is built on responsible policies, long-term investment, and a commitment to shared prosperity. Future generations should not be burdened with the mistakes of the past, but should instead inherit a system that allows them to thrive and innovate. Furthermore, a lasting legacy is shaped by how a nation treats its people, especially the most vulnerable. A country that ensures justice, equality, and human rights is one that will be remembered with pride. If we fail to stand up for the oppressed, if we allow discrimination and division to fester, if we choose greed over compassion, history will judge us harshly. The way we treat each other today sets the tone for how future generations will treat one another. Finally, a nation's legacy is defined by its role in the world. Will we be remembered as a force for peace or a source of conflict? Will we be known for helping those in need or turning our backs on them? The decisions we make on the global stage, whether in diplomacy, humanitarian aid, or conflict resolution, will leave an imprint on history. A country that acts with wisdom, integrity, and a commitment to the greater good will be remembered as a leader among nations, while one that acts only in self-interest will find itself isolated and forgotten. The future is not written in stone. It is shaped by the choices we make every day. A great nation does not simply think about what benefits it today. It envisions a better tomorrow and works tirelessly to make it a reality. It is our responsibility, not just as leaders, policymakers, or activists, but as ordinary citizens, to ensure that we leave behind a legacy that will inspire, uplift, and empower those who come after us. The strength of a nation does not lie in its borders, its wealth, or its military might alone. It lies in the hearts of its people, their courage, their compassion, their commitment to justice, and their vision for the future. It is not enough to admire the ideals of unity, resilience, and progress. We must embody them in our daily lives. Let us not wait for change to come from others. Let us be the change. Let us build communities rooted in kindness, stand up for what is right, and invest in the future with wisdom and responsibility. Let us embrace our challenges not as burdens but as opportunities to prove our strength. Let us reject division and work toward a society where every voice is heard, every dream is valued, and every citizen has the chance to contribute to something greater than themselves. History will remember us not for the words we spoke, but for the actions we took. The heart of a nation beats in every decision we make, every bridge we build, and every hope we nurture. If we stand together with courage, compassion, and determination, there is no challenge we cannot overcome, no dream we cannot achieve, and no legacy we cannot build for generations to come. Now is our time. Let us rise not as individuals, but as one people, one nation, united in purpose, unwavering in hope, and steadfast in our commitment to a future that shines brighter than ever before.